There's a lot of people, there are a lot of people that are disappointed with God. They're actually mad at God. How come he didn't fix their problem? How come he allows bad things to happen to really, really good people? And why does bad stuff happen to begin with? And what is the answer to that? How do you work through it? How do you deal with it? And then how do you overcome it? And is it actually God's fault? That is some things that we want to talk about today. And we have an incredible guest with me today, Bradley Clark. And I know you're going to actually really enjoy him when you get to even hear him sing his song, Hold On, later. He actually was the Christian Gospel Album of the Year last year in 2014. And you will know when you start to see him and talk to him, if God can change things for him, even when things go wrong, yes, you're right. He can do it for you too. Bradley, I am so glad you're joining us today.
I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you
so much.
So now, it wasn't always as easy for you. It might still not be.
Well, easy. I don't
But you know, you grew up, your parents were in ministry and in full-time ministry, and you put your foot down. You said, that is not me.
For the ministry? Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Why? Why did you want nothing to do with ministry?
I wanted nothing to do with it. I'd seen the effect that it had on my family. You know, my mom and dad were divorced when I was 5. You know, and so and just different things within it. You know, it was a different time then. I think that there was not that there was a different standard by any means, but there was, you know, always what people see, and then the people that you don't see. You know. Yeah. And, you know, I just wanted nothing to do with it, you know, so I did everything I could to stay out of it.
How does that work when God calls you, and you know He calls you,
too, you know? And
you really know it, and you just say, no?
Well, it's difficult. You know, I mean, I did, well, you know, I always thought, well, if let's see, later on to anesthetize the pain of what had happened. You know, during my childhood and growing up, you know, I thought, hey, well, let's start drinking. That'll keep me out of the ministry. That'd be all right. And drugs, and that'll keep me out. No, it just brings you more to where you're going to get. He's going to put you in it if He calls you to it.
So, God calls you in the ministry. You say no, and you actually become a prodigal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you work through that? How did you get out of it?
Oh my goodness. Well. It's a long story. Let's put it this way. I was successful in business. You know, I'd been in music and in acting for, you know, most of the time I was a teenager and going into my 20s. I ended up going into business, and was highly successful there. And then the next thing you know, I'd lost everything. I had got a divorce, and everything was going to shambles. I had been to rehab, you know, the really nice ones. It didn't work very, very well. And so by the time I got so bad, I'd lost everything twice. My family, actually, the grace of God, set me up, and I went to a Christian discipleship home for about 4 months. And that was really funny because my grandmother used to always say, you know what, Bradley, if you don't act right, we're gonna put you in a home, and that's exactly what they did. So I was in one for 4 months, and then I ended up going to Teen Challenge, and it changed my life, and I was really able to say, you know what, Lord, if this is what you have me to do, if this is what you want me to do, then I'm ready and I'm willing. And it gave me the time to really, you know, begin to study the scriptures, and it gave me time to study, you know, what was this thing that I believe in? You know, do I believe in it? You know, and really in the opportunity to really show me what's going on. Yeah. And He did that. At that time, it was about, you know, a year that I you know, shut off from the world and was really able to focus on things that brought me to the addiction part of my testimony. You know, really, why did I decide that drinking was gonna solve everything for me? Why did I think that drugs were the way to go? You know, did I really think that the people that were doing it had it all together? Was that really what I thought? And it was just, you know, a Band-Aid on a hemorrhage, you know.
So the real pain, what I'm basically hearing, is almost that you blamed God, that your parents divorced, and that's why ministry was not for you. So there was kind of a fear inside of you that if you go to ministry, things gonna get messed up.
Well, not only would it get messed up, am I good enough to do it? And if I'm not good enough to do it, why in the world would you call me to do it?
Yeah.
What in the world? What do I have to say to people? And if I do it, what's my life going to be like?
Yeah.
What is it going to really be? And I was really mad at God, but I was mad at the fact that he placed this thing within me and within my my family. Why wasn't he there during the midst of their troubles and their and thinking about things from a kid's point of view, from a little kid. It's like, well, Lord, I know you're here. Where were you?
Yeah.
And then when I look back, when I had that year to really look back at my life and to look at every situation, I was involved in so many things that could have killed me. I was, and I can never say, I used to say this was really, it's very,
Yeah.
talking about your story, it's like, you want to be real dramatic about it. And I used to say, well, I knew God had his hand on me until he took it off a little bit. And then, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
God has always had his hand on me through every struggle, through everything, every failure, and every success. He's had his hand on me.
He's always there.
He's always been there.
Yeah. And I want to talk about that in a minute, and we're going to address that. God is there, but why does he allow things to happen? And stay tuned. You'll find out.
Hi, I'm Bob Mees. I'm affiliated with the Barb Show, a production of Thriving in Christ Ministries. And if you haven't had an opportunity to watch the show in the past, I really encourage you to take some time to do it. You can watch her older shows on barbtv.org, or you can tune in on cable, or you can watch it on your cell phone. It's just a great show if you're struggling with, what's your purpose in life?
We have an incredible singer and artist with us, Bradley Clark, who also has the Bradley Clark Band, and you get to hear him pretty soon. I think you're gonna love hearing him sing. Amazing with the song Hold On. And hold on is basically our topic today. When everything seems to fall apart, God is saying, hold on to me, hold on and trust me. And Bradley, you finally have a dad that you absolutely love. You're excited to call him dad. He is there. Your mom is happily married. Mm-hmm. And then in the midst of all that, your pastor is asking you to perform in the church. And what happened?
Well, she remarried to this wonderful guy, Vince.
Yeah.
And I called him Dad. And he's seen me from the time I was going through all of these things with the drugs and the alcohol, my successes. He saw all of that. And then he saw my failure, when I fell. If you want to call it that. I lost everything. And I finished Teen Challenge, and I was going to school, and there was a pastor that was in one of my classes, and he found out, who I was and what I used to do, and he says it was a Kenyan church, it was awesome. Brad, you have to come to my church. You have to come, and I want you to sing. And I went, oh wow, okay. I put together this little band, and I called my mom. I said, I'm booked at a church. She's like, oh wow,
we're coming.
Because this was what she had been praying for.
Yeah.
And I didn't know she was going to bring Vince. I didn't know she was going to bring my aunt and uncle, Mike and Joanne. I had no idea.
She was proud of you.
She was. And so we went, and it was really a great time. It was a lot of fun. I spoke that night too. And then that night, my real dad never, maybe he didn't get the opportunity to, but I never got a blessing from him, And I always thought, wow, how cool would that be? I'd never gotten a blessing from my dad. So after we were finished, I came over to where they were sitting, and Vince was sitting there, and he grabs my hand. And he was a bass player, and he was a musician as well, but he also he was a carpenter as well. And he had these strong hands. I mean, they were strong, And I'll never forget what he did. He grabbed my hand and shook it But then he held on tight, and he said, Brad, we're proud of you. Keep doing what you're doing, and you have my blessing. I never told him about what I craved and what was really inside me to have from my own dad. And with tears in his eyes, he says, you have my blessing, and I love you. I love you so much.
Wow.
I'm really proud of you. So I went over to this guy named Pastor Jose. He was playing drums for me, and he was actually one of the pastors at New Season Christian Worship Center. Now he pastors in Sparks, Nevada. And he comes over to me and he said, "Man, that was pretty
good.
intense."
Yeah.
And I said, I don't feel worthy enough to ask him this, but would you go up to him and see if he would give his heart to the Lord tonight?
You should have done that yourself.
Well, Pastor Jose walked up to him and they prayed, and he gave his heart to the Lord that night. My very first
You knew.
service. I
You
did.
knew.
I just didn't feel worthy. I didn't feel.
Right.
I didn't feel. I just didn't feel worthy, and so. But I knew Pastor Jose was, and he came up to my dad Vince, and he gave his heart to the Lord that night.
Wow. Wow.
It was pretty powerful. What the thing that happened after that? So we're talking probably 3.5 months after that. I got a phone call from my mother, and she was in hysterics. I'd never really heard her this way before.
Right.
And 3 months later, he got into a car accident, and he was killed in a car accident.
That must have been devastating to the dad you loved.
Well, my paternal father, in effect, left us twice. Then my dad Vince, he gives his heart to the Lord, and then he's killed 3 months later.
Did you want to say at that moment, I am done, God, with ministry. I'm not doing anything else. Why did you take him from me?
It crossed my mind. There was, and I really, this is what I said. I said, you know what, Lord, you took him. He's gone. Okay, but you got to show me something here. You got to show me something. And then I made the most audacious little statement. I said, if that's the last performance I give, if that's the last service I do, it was enough. And the Lord told me, he said, stop it right there. You stop it.
Wow.
My mom, she was so devastated. She couldn't really do much in terms of talk to insurance people. I was on the phone with an insurance agent, and I told her,
Did God use that moment?
My goodness.
Yeah.
She answered the phone, and I told her what was going on. She went, and while I was on the phone with her, she's crying, and I said, no, it's okay. It's going to be all right. I know where he is.
Wow.
And she said, well, really? And I said, well, yeah. I said, well, do you know the Lord? And she said, well, yeah, it's been a while. Upon hours of his death, one person was brought to the Lord because of him.
Wow. How God uses it in a way. Wow. Bradley, that's amazing. And I just want to address the audience. And by the way, would you be willing in just a minute or so to share with us one of your favorite songs?
Sure.
Hold on. Yeah,
absolutely.
That would be great. But just a moment for that. At our Love Life Today events, we inspire, we encourage, and we help people with their needs. It's a great group of networking, building each other up, and bringing guests in and speakers in that are going to be there for you. We'd love for you to join us and to just see real people with real problems, real joys, embracing one another and building each other up. To connect with us and to get to know us better, go to barbtv.org or call us 855-515-5550. With us right now is Bradley Clark, and he is going to sing for us, Hold On.
Well, she's sitting in the back, life playing out in her mind. Wants so much to be a part, but her role hard to define. Well, the Lord has her heart. Why does she feel so apart? He's got big plans, but it's hard to see the end before she sees the start. Said, hold on tight, hold on fast. Don't give up now. You know it's gonna be alright. 'Cause I'm trusting you till you can see it through now. You know I just can't see what you see in me. I need to see it. You made a use out of a life well wasted. You made me stand when all I could do is fall. So when I look around and I can't seem to find a friend, gonna look to my side, remember just exactly what you said. Said, hold on tight, hold on fast. Don't give up now. You know it's gonna be alright. 'Cause I'm trusting you. I know you're gonna see it through. Oh, I just can't see what you see in me. Good Lord, I think I finally see it too.
Great, Bradley.
That's a short version.
That was amazing. That was absolutely wonderful.
Thank you so much.
And you know, you just heard that as well, and you're seeing like wow, hold on tight and just listen to those words, trusting God. And I think that's the answer of what he was just talking about. When you start seeing things going wrong, when life is tough, what Bradley just said is so true. Hold on tight, trust in you. And that is that the meaning of your song?
It's total meaning of it.
So
Yeah.
now today you are with the Bradley
Clark Band, yeah.
Exactly. How did that start?
Well, actually, it started with that night. Really.
Wow.
I had there was a couple songs. There's one song on the album called "The River" that I had a dream about.
Yeah.
But it really started that night, and then it just kind of progressed and progressed and progressed. I ended up my guitar player he's like my little brother, his name's Val Topolou, and we worked together on a song called "Take Me as I Am," and. I just felt like I was like, Lord, no, what really? I'm saying no again. Here I am saying no again.
Still.
And you know, he said no. I said, this is what I want for it. I want for you to do. Or I want you to do.
Wow.
And it's been wonderful. It's been a lot of ups and downs. You know, we've gone through personnel changes. We've gone through a lot of things, and my things personally. You know, I've had to overcome within this within the entire. Spectrum of the music business.
I bet it's a challenge because once you get to the top,
well, I don't know if I'm at the top yet.
Is there a pressure to try to stay there? How does
well,
that work?
Yeah, you know, there's always a saying that keeps me kind of grounded. You know, and you gotta, you know, a lot of people can go to the top, and a lot of people can achieve fame, but you know, character is going to keep you there.
Yeah.
And see, the thing of it is from the way I perceive gospel and Christian music is it's different than pop music or rock and roll like I used to play, and I played with a lot of them. Christian music or gospel music, typically, if you grew up with it, it brings back some nostalgia, and you know what's right and you know what's wrong. And sometimes, I'll speak for myself. When I knew that I was doing wrong, and all of a sudden something came on my CD player, back in those days, and it's like, oh, it's my mom's album. I used to keep my mom's album in my car, and it was really amazing. A lot of times when I wasn't doing right, guess whose CD would come on, and it was reminding me of my call.
Wow.
And so Christian music and gospel music has such deep roots in the soul. And I had to realize that, I don't want to be one of these guys that really disappoints people because of defects that I was working
That
at.
is so amazing to me because when I'm hearing you talking, you're afraid of disappointing people. You're afraid of doing things right or being good enough. And I see that going all the way back to your childhood,
Sure.
trying to live up to your dad at the time, who
Sure.
did not mean wrong, you know,
Right.
but it came out there, and it stays that struggle. And God keeps saying, I want you, Bradley.
Right.
And you keep saying, really?
Yeah.
Really, do you want?
Yeah.
And yet he's using you all over. Because tell me a little bit. You've started something just recently about building a difference. What
Buil-
is that about?
Well, it's such an amazing show. I watched when I went back to school to get my degree. The only TV I had, I didn't have cable, and that was when they switched everything to the antenna. You know,
Yeah.
they switched everything to digital. So the only show in town was TBN, and there was this show called Building a Difference that I used to watch, and it inspired me, you know, to go out there and keep doing. And I remember, you know, just not really having anything. My apartment had a little fireplace, and that's where my TV was. And I remember praying one day and saying, Lord, you know, if I could just do something like that. You know, I know I've made so many mistakes, and I probably can't be used, but if I could just carry their water, you know, and just be a part of what they're doing.
Did God answer it?
God answered it in a big way. I was interviewed by a magazine that found its way into the hands of one of the executive producers for Building a Difference. Little did I know that you know, he went to so many things happened. He ended up reading the story because of a really good friend of mine, Olga Ivanikov with Russian American Media, and she gave him the magazine. He read it, got in touch with me, and I didn't know who he was. You know, here's this Jacksonville number coming up. I didn't know who he was. Ended up seeing a 15-minute promo, and at the end of it, Building a Difference came on. The logo comes on at the end of the show. And I called him back and I said, "You're with Building a Difference?" He said, yeah, I'm Uncle Dave. You know, that's where we go.
Yeah.
And I ended up flying out to Missouri because we're doing, we're featuring a rehab center from Russia that came out to the United States called New Life. And so my part is explaining the New Life USA portion of it. And my album, Hold On, is the soundtrack for Building a Difference.
Wow.
Season 3. And it's just been an amazing, and then they asked me to come on as a co-host when I was out in Missouri visiting, really.
Wow.
And seeing what my music was going to be in the back of, and they ended up giving me
Isn't that amazing?
part of the show. Yeah.
You just being here, saying, I'm not good enough, I don't want anything, and God saying, not happening, I want you,
Right.
I am going to use you. So when you were in the midst of the despair, and God really called out to you, because the people saying, well, that's Bradley, and look where he's at now, but what about me? How do I overcome in the midst of the struggles that I am dealing with right now? What would be your advice to them?
I would say to be honest about it. Be honest about the struggle and what got you there.
Yeah.
And every struggle that I've ever had, I put me there, no matter whose fault it was. Because sometimes life happens to us, and sometimes we happen to life. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so, be honest about that. And the worst thing that I had to overcome was unforgiveness of sometimes of other people, and a lot from myself. You know, to being able to forgive myself, being able to forgive those people that hurt me. And, you know, and it's a process.
And that is so easy, especially in the Christian world, because we expect other Christians to be perfect
Right.
and to treat us perfect. But then when
Right.
like church politics and all this stuff happens, and it happens because
Right.
we're all human beings. It
Right.
does happen. We blame them so much that God gets the blame of it.
Well,
How
and
does
you
that
gotta,
fit?
well, yeah, and you gotta be honest about that too. I mean, am I
Yeah.
blaming the right person? I
Yeah.
found out that I was blaming God for a lot of things, but I was dead wrong.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
ultimately it comes down to me. I have to make the decision whether to go down this path or this path. The thing about it is, when God is with you, you can go down the wrong path, but He'll set you right. It's kind of like the guy who was trapped in and this is where it all kind of wraps up.
Right.
You know, for me in my life, it's like the guy that was in the hole,
Yeah.
in the manhole.
Joseph?
Well, just anybody. You can call him
Yeah.
Joseph. So Joseph is in there, and he falls down, and he's yelling, hey, come get me, come get me. And so some people come up, some church folks come up, you know, and they say, well, what are you doing? He said, I fell down a hole. And they go and they leave. And they mean well, but they go.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, you know, somebody bopping around with their iPad or their iPhone and or
like,
whatever.
You need help?
And you know, listen to the Bradley Clark Band, of course.
Yeah.
And they hear this guy, hey.
Yeah.
He looks down and says, "What's going on?" He says, "I fell in a hole." The guy jumps down with him. He says, "Man, what's wrong? What's wrong with you? What are you doing down here?" We're both stuck down here now. He said, "Nah, man, don't worry about it because I know the way out." See, the thing of it is we go through things, so many things we go through, and it's awful. But when we find our way out of it, it's not just our obligation. It's not just our duty, but within us, we have to give this away.
And that's true.
We have to give it away.
And we can. And
we
talking about
can.
giving away. So I want to give you my book, Ransomed.
What?
Thank you so much for joining
Where am I
us.
at? Where am I? Look at this.
It was great to have you
wow.
on your
Thank
show.
you so much.
And I would love to have your CD.
Would you like
give
my
me
CD?
the honor to
Why, yes, I can.
Thank you so much. That is awesome. Bradley,
Barb.
thank you so much
Oh,
for joining us.
thank
it
you
was
so
an
much.
honor.
Oh,
it was a
the
very
honor was mine.
honor.
You're the best.
So
Thank you.
much. And then for you, there is just a quick scripture I still would like to share with you that I think would be an encouragement to you, because, you know, Bradley is doing great, but so can you. And out of the book of Isaiah, there's a Bible scripture that I think can be a great encouragement to you. It's in Isaiah 41, starting at verse 10. And it says, "Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not anxiously look about you, for I am your God, no matter what. I will strengthen you surely. I will help you. Surely I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." Let me say this quickly one more time. "Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not anxiously look about you, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. Surely I will help you. Surely I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." And what the Lord is telling me right now is saying that some of you right now are saying, "But that's not me. I'm not good enough." And you're wrong. You're very wrong. You are good enough for God. God loves you and wants to help you. Call us 855-515-5550 or go to our website, barbtv.org. I want to hear from you. I want to connect with you. I want to hear your story. And I know wherever you're at right now, that could be God's story. You could be part of that. Connect with us. 855-515-5550. God loves you, and so do I. Have a great day.